This Labor Day, say goodbye to spills, stains, and overpriced furniture with WashableSofas.com, featuring Anabay, the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly pricing. Sofas start at just $6.99, making it the perfect time to upgrade your space. Anabay's pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and interchangeable slip covers are made with high-performance fabric built for real life. You'll love the cloud-like comfort of hypoallergenic, high-resilience foam that never needs fluffing, and a durable steel frame that stands the test of time. With modular pieces, you can rearrange anytime. It's a sofa that adapts to your life. Now through Labor Day, get up to 60% off site-wide at WashableSofas.com. Every order comes with a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping, no restocking fees, every penny back. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Hey there, Chris Merrill in for Mo Kelly tonight, KFI AM 640. More stimulating talk alongside Mark Ronner in the newsroom. Tuala Sharp, one of the finest producers, probably the finest producer I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And Sam Zia, who is the smartest guy I've ever had the pleasure to berate from behind that board. So thank you, Sam. It's nice to have you here. Sam, for those who are unfamiliar, Sam is actually a licensed therapist, and he's working on his PhD, and I have some more questions to ask you later on in the show. Specifically, and I'm teasing ahead a little ways here, but coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, there's a new show on Hulu that keeps popping up in my recommended for you, and evidently it wants me to watch virgins threaten to have sex. So I'm curious about so many things around that. So we'll talk about that after 9 o'clock. Still to come this hour, the kids' food is about to be healthier than anything that we had when we were going to school. So that is coming up in just a moment. Speaking of your kids, how many of us were spanked as children? Actually, I might bring Sam in on this because he is a therapist. Mark, I'm assuming that you were probably swatted a lot.
Yeah, that's a safe assumption. I got the living daylights kicked out of me.
Yeah. Tuala, did you catch some backhands when you were growing up?
No, sir. I did not. Nope.
Your parents very non-corporal?
My father was. One time he did spank me all the way home for not listening to him. I think that was the onlyest time I had to actually be beaten within an inch of my life.
Is that right?
But I was out late. Past, street lights coming on. And yeah, he spanked me literally all the way home. But that was it. That was it. My mom, no. I just didn't want to disappoint my mom, so she never had to, so I kept everything on the low. She doesn't know a whole lot.
Yeah. All right. Close with your mom, right? I mean,
very.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Sam, you want to jump in on this?
I avoided it. I was a good kid all the way through my childhood, and I didn't get in trouble until I was an adult.
Man, I got spanked a lot.
Oh, yeah. No, I took calculated risks.
Okay, well, that's smart. I wasn't that calculated. My mother used to say that she said about every 3 weeks, that's when she had to get out the paddle. And so when I was real little, they used to use their hands. And then as I got older, my mother, they were doing some remodeling at the house, and she asked the carpenter to make her a wooden paddle using some scrap wood because she kept breaking wooden spoons off on my butt.
That's clever. Was it the kind of paddle that had the air holes in it so it would go faster?
No, and it's interesting you say that because I've had a lot of people ask me that question. It did not. I don't know that actually works.
Oh, they hurt. I can tell you that.
I'm sure they do. I just don't know if the holes actually matter. It's kind of like, boy, I could swing this baseball bat a lot faster if only it had more aerodynamic holes.
The holes do matter.
You think so?
I have seen the hole. I remember in junior high school, I've seen there was at Marshall, there was a paddle. Yeah. And those holes, they cut back on wind resistance, and they add this whistle.
Like, the whistle, I believe, which is intimidating.
Yeah, very intimidating.
I would love to have seen Mythbusters do this one, right? The Mythbusters team is on it. According to the internet, they say that by drilling holes in the paddle, you can actually inflict a lot more pain on your kids. We're going to find out. Right? That would have been great. And then, the graphics where they scribble it all out on blueprint paper.
Yep.
No, we just drill holes. Shoo, shoo, shoo.
And then do a computer animatic of it.
Perfect. That's what I would have loved.
But whether or not it worked, the psychological horror effect on the child was what mattered.
That's true. One of my favorite stories, and I'll get to this in just a minute because scientists are now saying old punishments fall short. Traditional discipline rooted in the mid-20th century behaviorist models like reward sticker charts, timeouts, or taking away toys may not just be ineffective but can also harm a child's emotional growth. In other words, now they don't talk about spanking so much in this as much as they talk about the carrot versus the stick, the reward versus the punishment sort of situation. All right. One of my favorite stories. And I love telling the story for two reasons. One, I get to embarrass him now. But two, it's just damn funny. And that is, my brother was a bedwetter. And so he was probably, I'm going to say he was like 4 or 5 years old, which would have put me at about 7 or 8. And we did something to upset my parents. And we got the paddles. Mom says, "Get me Peter." That was the worst. We had to go get the paddle. It's kind of like the old school when they used to say, go pick me a switch. And the kids had to go pick their own, weapon for torture.
Oh, yeah.
So my and I don't remember if it was my father or my mother that administered this one. Dad didn't use the paddle very much. He didn't like to do that. He would only use his hand, but he used the paddle a few times. I don't remember if this is one of them. But we had this, my brother and I, our bedrooms were on the second floor. So the kitchen was on the first floor. Peter Paddle stayed on top of the refrigerator in the kitchen. And then there was a staircase. The staircase had a door at the bottom. It was an old house, and it was a hallway of a staircase. And
the Paddle had a first name?
Yes, Peter Paddle. And that's what my mother would say, "Go get me Peter." Oh, boy, that was worse. That was terrible.
Damn.
Yeah. So whatever it was, my brother and I were doing something that irritated my parents, and it got to the point where they felt like we deserved this paddling. And so I had to go first, and it was just whack. The terror of knowing it's coming, and then whack, and just whack, whack, and it was always 3. Mom said never more than 3, but it was always 3. It was never 1, but it was never more than 3. She made very clear, "I never hit you kids more than 3 times. That was my limit. I just couldn't bring myself to do it." And I was like, "Well, thank goodness you had the fortitude to do it at least 3 times, Mom." So I'm crying. My keister is, beet red, and I'm running up the stairs. You know how it is when you're a kid and you're trying to run away from it. It's so painful, and you're putting your hands on your butt, but it hurts to move your butt. Anyway, I go and I run up the stairs, and I'm crying, and I get to the top. And the only thing that made me feel better was hearing my brother get the punishment as well. So I'm standing at the top of the stairs, and the door is open at the bottom. And and I just hear, whack! I felt a little better. Crack! I'm feeling even better. Crack! And I'm going, all right, my pain's almost gone now. But it still hurt.
Do you need to talk about something?
What's that?
Do you need to go more in depth on this topic? It seems like there's a lot of pain.
We can unpack
here
this
right now.
But wait, you're about to get the payoff.
All right.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll do this. We'll do a second segment here because there's a lot to unpack.
It's a cry for help.
Okay. So I'm at the top of the stairs and I'm tears streaming down my face, but I'm feeling a little better because I just heard my brother get punished, and I'm pretty sure it was his fault that I got spanked in the first place. And he's whack, 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 and then so they go, "Get upstairs and go to bed." I hear my parents yell, and my brother is at the bottom of the stairs, and he's crying. And they slam the door. Now go to bed. And they slam the door at the bottom of the stairs. And as soon as that door closes, my brother goes, and he looks up at me and he goes, "Didn't hurt. Had my diaper on."
That's awesome.
I love it.
He saw what was coming.
Oh my God, that was good.
Is that not the worst? And wow.
Any
bit that I felt better by knowing that he was suffering was immediately replaced by the most horrible feeling. Like, I got all the punishment out of it. It was the worst. The worst. Yeah. All right. Here's what we have to. I do want to get into this a little bit further because I do have some thoughts on parenting. I raised 3 kids. I didn't do a great job. I've always said I'm not a good parent. But I think I learned a few things along the way, and I want to invite Sam in here to help me unpack some of what I've learned because I was not able to parent the same way mine were. I'll tell you why that is in just a few moments, what I learned and how that was beneficial to me.
This Labor Day, say goodbye to spills, stains, and overpriced furniture with WashableSofas.com. Featuring Anabay, the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly pricing. Sofas start at just $6.99, making it the perfect time to upgrade your space. Anabay's pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and interchangeable slip covers are made with high-performance fabric built for real life. You'll love the cloud-like comfort of hypoallergenic, high-resilience foam that never needs fluffing, and a durable steel frame that stands the test of time. With modular pieces, you can rearrange anytime. It's a sofa that adapts to your life. Now through Labor Day, get up to 60% off site-wide at WashableSofas.com. Every order comes with a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping, no restocking fees, every penny back. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
Is next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk. Listen anytime on demand in the iHeart Radio app. So, new studies are out now, and neuroscientists are questioning some of the old ways of parenting. In other words, the old carrot and the stick. If a child does wrong, negative reinforcement. If a child does right, positive reinforcement. They're saying basically kids' brains aren't really wired to do that. While that may work, the Pavlovian response might work with like dogs, and it might work in the short term, the kids don't necessarily learn. Their brains don't really put things together, and it actually could create a bit of a strain on your relationship with your child and your child's, trust in their parents and that kind of thing. For those that that are unfamiliar, Sam, who's our tech director, is actually a therapist. Sam, parenting is probably the hardest thing I've ever done, and it is also, I would say, the thing that I'm really bad at.
You share that opinion with quite a few people.
Hardest thing, and I'm terrible at it. I'm a stepfather. So the kid who was 3 when I came into his life, he's 26. He lives with me now, and I love these kids. They're my kids. I've always referred to them as my kids. But I'm not good at it. And I think a lot of that is because as a stepfather, I had different challenges. And so the lessons that I learned from my parents, whether they were good or bad, I couldn't apply to rearing my kids, right? So one of the challenges that I had going in is that the kid's biological father was, divorces get messy. And he said, if that guy ever lays a hand on my kids, I'm calling, DCS or whatever, Protective Services, whatever it is, Department of Child Services, Protective, whatever whatever the department is. And so I never spanked my kids. But as you heard from the last segment, my parents had a designated paddle for spanking, which I'm sure is because that's how they were raised as well, right? The spanking thing.
Yeah.
It created such a challenge for me. And I think what I realized along the way is that the times that I wanted to strike the children were the times that I didn't know any other way. I was so exasperated, and it forced me to be more creative.
Then you're not a bad parent.
I just feel like I didn't, I was always there for the kids, right? I'm always there. And I hear this. I've been to therapy before, too, and they're like, no, you're not a bad parent. You didn't beat your kids. You protected your kids. You fed the kids. You kept them. But I feel like that's the bare minimum.
No, really, that's not. People who did get beat, that's the bare minimum.
Yeah, no, that's
like
yeah.
The thing is that we all are the product, positive or negative, of everything we get, for better or for worse, from our parents on both sides. And it's up to us to find the little things that we feel like that they didn't do right, or the things that they could have improved on, and fix those problems. Stop that pattern from being passed down to the next generation, and find the things that your parents did well and keep those things going. Those are the echoes of the good things that they brought. But you want to make it so that the negative stuff, if you can be the one to break that spell, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that gets passed down generation to generation to generation.
So I was always afraid that the kids would end up like me. Right? Because when I was a teenager, I did some stupid things. And I got in trouble. And I ended up, rather than doing hard time, I ended up going to one of those correctional boot camp things you've probably heard about, right? where it's like you could go do time behind bars, or you could go to this. They're in your face. It's based on like the Marine Corps boot camp, and so I did that when I was 20, and it worked for me. So then I was a real hard ass on my kids when they were young because I was just terrified that if they didn't have the discipline, that they would end up getting in trouble like I did. And that was my biggest fear, was that something horrible like that would happen, and that they would make a mistake that would haunt them for the rest of their lives.
Well, there's also,
and I don't think I handled it the best.
Well, and that there's also, like, when we're young parents, there's so much that's out of control that we tend to micromanage the things that we can control. Whenever we have a lot of chaos and things that are out of control in our lives, we tend to hyperfixate on the things that we can control. And that's where people start to become a little bit domineering with parenting and stuff like that. And it's good that you're recognizing that, because then that means that you're actually taking the steps to address it and not fall into that trap.
It's 20 years too late.
Yeah, but it's better late than never.
Well, I already screwed them up.
Yeah, but your kids are probably old enough now where you can give them the explanation that parenting a lot of times just comes down to a series of bad choices, and you're trying to pick the least bad choice.
That's good.
And at that point, at this age, they're going to be old enough to understand, and they're going to get it when you say, "I'm sorry, I got that wrong." They're going to get it.
That's my concern, is that when they become parents, that they're going to engage in the same patterns that they learned from me, because that's what they knew. And I feel like I need to have a heart-to-heart with them, if and ever I'm not a grandparent yet, but if and ever there's a time that I am a grandparent, I need to pull them aside and be like, I screwed up, and I need you to be better than I was.
Nah, Chris, it's interesting because it's my kids are 15 and 19 now. My son is 19, and growing up, I wasn't necessarily always hard, but I had very, very clear lines. And my son will tell you, like, there aren't many times that my dad had to implement corporal punishment, but those times that he did were memorable enough, and they were connected to a tone and an attitude and a mood that let me know moving forward, when his voice goes to a certain level, then it's time to stop playing that you're crossing a line and you're edging yourself into corporal punishment land. But he will also tell you that my dad is quick to apologize and quick to let it be known when he is wrong on any given thing. I am one of those individuals where my son knows for a fact that if I'm wrong on something, whether it's something I told him he could not do, I'm the first one to say, hey, you know what, man? I am sorry. I led you wrong. This was not right for me to do X, Y, and Z. Because you have to have that level of manhood. It's not just about being there physically to correct yourself. It's also about being able to sit there and have those heart-to-hearts and have those open, honest moments and be able to explain yourself. If you cannot do that, that is where I think most of us as men fail.
Yeah, it models accountability for them.
Yeah. Well, I didn't do that.
Well, you can now. You didn't, though. You're not dead.
To them, I am. They're like, he's old. Why are we listening
now,
to him?
You know what? I'm telling you.
I have a decent relationship with my kids. I'm terrible at being the one to pick up the phone and call them. But I love my kids. My kids love me. We communicate. It's not like we have a strained relationship or anything. But I just look back and I'm like, I screwed this up. Plus, everything you're talking about, Tawala, just seems so emotional. And I'd rather just bury those emotions and pretend that they don't exist.
No,
very
man.
Manly.
No, don't bury them.
Very manly.
No, and here's the problem: is that's actually not manly. You got to be for me. I'm like I'm the father that I wanted, not the father that I had, right? And that's my motto, and that's how I live my life, and it's how I also impart on my children, where I want to be able to be someone that I can always talk to them, explain my failures, and use those as examples in the moment, but not be afraid to have those heart-to-hearts. And it's never too late. It is never too late to just say, hey, I know we, talk and shoot the ish about the game and this, that, or the other. But if you can't have that heart-to-heart, there's always going to be that wall. There's a wall.
I think I'm just okay with the wall. It's probably just okay. Because if we just shoot the breeze, that's basically me saying I love you. Sam, how do I get over that? I love this free therapy, by the way.
We should take a break and get back to it.
Okay, I love this. That and what you're feeding your kids is actually the worst thing you can possibly do to them. I'll tell you what California is going to do to fix that, and we'll make you a better parent. Next, Chris Merrill, in from O'Kelly, KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Mark Ronner, are you crying?
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
California schools are looking at phasing out the ultra-processed foods, which means that the Make America Healthy Again liberals, this is the only wing of the liberal party that really agrees with anything they're seeing out of the Trump administration, because it's a lot of the RFK stuff. I think they're pretty happy about this whole movement to make America healthy again and get rid of the processed foods. So that's the latest, is that California schools are looking to get rid of that. I fed my kids such garbage growing up. Just chicken nuggets, fine. If you'll eat it, fine. Whatever you'll eat. My wife was so good. She's such a good parent. She always led with love. Right? I always felt like that's what made her such a great parent. Doesn't matter if she did something right or wrong, she always led with love. And the kids knew, they still know, whatever their mom's doing, whether they like it or hate it, they know that she's doing it because she loves them. Right? Me, they're like, I think he's just doing it because he's trying to not screw us up, but he's actually making it worse. Which is how I always felt like I was doing with my kids. But it was also it's really tough being a step parent, because the kids would get mad and then they go tell their dad how awful I was. Went through that with all the kids. I don't want to live with you anymore. I'm going to go live with Dad. All three of the kids tried that for a short amount of time and then came back. All of them. Grass is always greener. And we knew teenagers were going to do that. But I have to tell you, that was maybe the most stressful time in my marriage, too. And if you've ever been in a family like this, and I didn't bring any kids into the family. It's not a blended family or anything, but I was a step-parent who married, the joke is I married an old lady with 3 used kids. That was so incredibly difficult because the kids would use me, right? They knew that their dad didn't like me because I was the guy who, married his ex-wife, and he didn't like that, which I totally get. But they knew that they could get on his good side by bad-mouthing me. And as teenagers, it's scorched earth. They'll do whatever they can. So they would say, oh, we don't want to go back to live with Mom and Chris. He's terrible. He's mean to us. He yells at us when we do things wrong. And so then they all said, well, we want to go live with Dad at some point in their adolescence. And all of them immediately regretted that. But my wife used to do this. You're chasing the kids away from me. Sam, how would you deal with that? I mean, we went to counseling for this, and I hated it. And I'll tell you why I hated it. Because I felt like counseling in that period was like going to the husband mechanic. My wife found a counselor. She said, we're going to go see this counselor. And then she would go tell the counselor everything I was doing wrong. And then the counselor would spend all kinds of time telling me how wrong I was about everything I did. Yeah,
that's not a balanced approach to couples therapy at all.
No, I completely withdrew. I built a man cave, and I would come home from work, and I'd go to the man cave, and I was basically a complete absentee husband and father. Because why even try to fight it? Because I knew the kids were teenagers and manipulating things, and I knew that my wife was always going to take their side, which was the agreement from the day we met. Kids come first. But I kind of got like, all right, well, you're fourth in line.
Well, it puts you in a vulnerable position where you really can't. You're not in a position to discipline them because they're the stepkids. They're not yours.
Right.
You have to be the echo of the parent in that situation. And you're the person who's the whipping boy within the family. So anytime something goes wrong with the kids, you're the person who's at fault.
Yep.
So it makes it really hard to be able to feel confident as a parent with the decisions that you're making when you're not being an effective echo, when you're trying to see how much of your voice you can have, how much of your influence and your discipline and your approach that you want to have in place. And it was a telling thing when you said they went to their dad and immediately came back.
Oh, yeah.
Because for whatever deficiencies you had as a parent, you were still significantly more effective as a parent. They knew that a lot of times, when we talk about like loose parenting, the idea is that, oh, we're not putting strong enough boundaries around the kid. When really parenting is about having effective boundaries that are safe, that keep the kids on rails to make sure that they're not going out of bounds and doing stuff that's going to get them in trouble.
And that's what adolescents rebel against. That's why they
absolutely
like, we're going to go live with our dad because he's not going to make us eat our dinner every night.
And you don't think that they're taking out their frustration about how their parents aren't getting along and they're not together, which what they honestly would love to have because that's what every kid wants.
Yeah.
They're taking out all of their frustrations directly on you. So it's easy to feel like you're not being a good parent when you're dealing with teenagers. At the same time, once they become adults and that rebellious phase kind of fades out, if they happen to become parents, that makes it so that they slowly understand what I said earlier. Parenting a lot of times comes down to a series of bad decisions, and in those moments, you're trying to pick the least bad choice.
Yeah, I just don't think I was good at that.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are good or bad or not. The thing is, as we get older, we have accountability.
Yeah, and that comes back to what Tawala was saying, that I need to be open and honest with my kids, which means I have to be vulnerable. And I can be so much more vulnerable on the radio talking to 500,000 people at a time than I can be in a one-on-one conversation with my own child.
Yeah. It's easier to talk to public than it is to be like vulnerable with one person that you know you have a direct influence, an impact on. It makes sense.
Is it because I'm scared that they're going to hurt me?
You're scared that they're going to reject you, that they're going to continue to blame you, but really they're going to understand that like what you're ultimately doing is like you want them to not follow and make the same mistakes that you made. Yeah. Show them what accountability is. Your parents didn't do that for you. Show them what that is so that they can understand we're allowed to make mistakes as long as we own up to them and try to make amends.
All right, in just a moment here, I got to tell you that as we all do this, of course, we learn from our parents. We learn the things that our parents, when we're in a similar situation, how we handle it, how we now all of a sudden see our parents did it right. What I'm starting to recognize that my parents did right all along. And maybe you've seen the same thing with your parents when you become a parent. That is next. I'm Chris Merrill, KFI 8.
This Labor Day, say goodbye to spills, stains, and overpriced furniture with WashableSofas.com. Featuring Anabay, the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly pricing. Sofas start at just $6.99, making it the perfect time to upgrade your space. Anabay's pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and interchangeable slipcovers are made with high-performance fabric built for real life. You'll love the cloud-like comfort of hypoallergenic, high-resilience foam that never needs fluffing, and a durable steel frame that stands the test of time. With modular pieces, you can rearrange anytime. It's a sofa that adapts to your life. Now through Labor Day, get up to 60% off site-wide at WashableSofas.com. Every order comes with a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping, no restocking fees, every penny back. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
I'm 640. Ian from O'Kelly tonight.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Chris Merrill from O'Kelly tonight, KFI AM 640. More stimulating talk. Listen anytime on demand on the iHeartRadio app. I am leaning heavily into the expertise of our tech director tonight, Sam. This is his side gig. He is a therapist, and so I'm basically stealing a free hour from him. It's just that you get to listen in. One of the things that struck me as we were talking about parenting and how there's such a huge challenge, especially when, there's stepkids. That's one thing, which creates a new strain, not only in the relationship with the children, but also in the marriage and this sort of thing. But also how raising stepkids when you've got a kind of a vindictive ex-husband involved is a bit of a challenge that I was not equipped to handle because, my parents were together. I didn't run into that situation. And so a lot of the ways that my parents parented, I wasn't able to use. And I was ill-equipped to deal with, well, if I do this wrong, they're going to go to their mom, my wife, and say, Chris is doing this, and if he keeps it up, I'm going to go live with Dad, which, of course, puts her at odds with me. Or they would then go to their dad who would then call my wife and say, what is your husband doing to my kids? He's blah, blah, blah. Nothing ever physical, because he threatened when my wife and I were dating, if he ever touches my kids, I'm going to lock him up, throw away the key, he'll kill blood. So it wasn't even worth it. But I was watching Ted Lasso. Is that on Tubi yet, Mark? Is Ted Lasso on Tubi?
No, I think just Apple TV.
Just Apple?
And they've just raised their price by a third, so good luck on that.
They did?
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
I know.
That is my favorite streaming service, because I feel like the value is always there. I just don't like that they raised it. There was a poem in the third season that has been used in other TV before, too, and it talks about parenting, and it says, they F you up, your mom and dad. They may not mean to, but they do. They fill you with the faults they had and add some extra just for you. Which is, Sam, I'm sure you would agree, as somebody who drills deep into what makes people who they are as part of your therapy. But what I took away from the poem is not that my parents had passed things along to me. It's that I was passing things along to my kids, and I was adding a little extra just for them. In other words, all of the faults that I had growing up, I passed on to my kids. And then all of the faults that I developed as a parent, I passed those on too.
Well, yeah, you didn't have a roadmap for how to parent a stepchild. And full disclosure, I'm raising a stepdaughter as well. And so I understand a lot of the frustrations, especially when you have someone that, like a contentious relationship with their biological father. Now, all you can do as a step-parent is try to encourage both actual biological parents to have as good a communication with each other as possible in regards to their kids. Because at the end of the day, both parents love their kids, and they're both very concerned with how they're, with their safety, how they're being raised when the kids are not with them. So all you can do is try to be as good of a conduit for them communicating the important stuff to each other.
Sam, I got to push back against you a little bit. Because
Please.
Everything you just said makes perfect sense in a perfect world. But we know darn well that's not always the case.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
Oftentimes kids are used as pawns in order to try to exact vengeance on an ex that one person feels has wronged them.
Is that your fault?
It's not my fault.
Exactly. That's something that the kids are going to have to deal with their actual parents not doing good parenting skills.
Yeah,
that doesn't fall on you. You're not like the savior coming in trying to rescue the kids and to save her. You are the partner, and you're trying to do your best to raise stepchildren. And all you can do is be an echo of the parent. And if the parents themselves are having poor, not necessarily parenting skills, but co-parenting skills, that's not your fault. All you can do is try to encourage them to have as good a communication with each other as possible. But it's not your fault that they're having a contentious relationship as far as co-parenting goes. It takes a lot of self-defeat. You have to put a lot of your ego aside in order to be a good co-parent, because a lot of times you're going to be dealing with someone who has a lot of rightful and justified frustration towards you, just like you may have justified frustration towards that other person. But you have to put a lot of that aside, because you have to prioritize the kids and their needs.
All right. Really good points. Where were you like 20 years ago when I started this journey?
I was raising hell.
I bet you were. Well, listen, I came through the other side. Nothing's perfect, but came through the other side. They're all in their mid-20s, and they're all healthy.
They're old enough to understand when you sit down and talk with them. It's just when you feel comfortable, you should absolutely do it.
I love it. All right, guys, that wraps on that. Mark, this is the least Mark has ever spoken on the air.
I wanted you to get the help you need, Chris.
Did it just get really uncomfortable for you when we couldn't mask things with humor?
No, I think that you owe Sam whatever his hourly rate is.
Well, Sam, looks like we're out of time. So looks like we're going to have to go. All right, Chris Merrill in for Mo Kelly tonight. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
KFI and KOST HD2, Los Angeles, Orange County. More stimulating talk.
This Labor Day, say goodbye to spills, stains, and overpriced furniture with WashableSofas.com. Featuring Anabay, the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly pricing. Sofas start at just $6.99, making it the perfect time to upgrade your space. Anabay's pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and interchangeable slip covers are made with high-performance fabric built for real life. You'll love the cloud-like comfort of hypoallergenic, high-resilience foam that never needs fluffing, and a durable steel frame that stands the test of time. With modular pieces, you can rearrange anytime. It's a sofa that adapts to your life. Now through Labor Day, get up to 60% off site-wide at WashableSofas.com. Every order comes with a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping, no restocking fees, every penny back. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.